So, this is once again only gonna be audio. I do also hope that my phone is not gonna turn itself off because it is quite low on battery because of whatever reason. But yeah, I'm just seeing that there's really tremendously interesting articles about stress, attention. And yeah, that's quite it on the Psychology Today website. But I don't know which one to go through. So the first one is a science-based technique for coping with stress, and the other one is how our eyes influence what we hear. I think I'm gonna go through the stress one before. It's actually quite long, so yeah. I've chosen this one because I think that it is more important, especially in these times where people seem to be quite stressed out, to be honest. But yeah, a science-based technique for coping with stress. How you speak to yourself matters. Do you wish to be able to manage difficult emotions more successfully, make wiser decisions, and deal better with social stressful situations? Yeah, motherfucker, I'd like to do so. Psychological science has discovered a simple technique that may help you do just that. It is called distanced self-talk. Distanced self-talk. Distanced self-talk leverages the structure of language to promote emotion regulation by cueing people to reflect on the self-using parts of speech. For example, names and non-first person pronouns that are typically used to refer to other people. Does that mean like, okay, if I'm angry or something, that I'm saying to myself, he seems to be angry? Anyway, so it sounds a bit strange, but we're gonna see what the article is saying. In simple terms, the technique involves reflecting on your stressful experience from an outside perspective. This is accomplished by a change of pronouns. Instead of using the first person I in your internal monologue, you can use your name, the second person generic you, the third person pronouns he, she, they, or even a fly on the wall perspective. For example, let's assume I'm facing a problem or reflecting on an emotionally stressful situation I've experienced. Instead of thinking, how will I solve this problem? Or how am I feeling about what happened? I may ask myself, how is Noam going to solve this problem? Or how is Noam feeling about what happened? Or how will you solve the problem? Or what's the fly on the wall's perspective on what happened? By the way, I do want to point out this article is by Noam Spencer, I guess, PhD, Insight Therapy. Yeah, just to let you know. This idea may seem simplistic, and it also, sounds a bit ridiculous, but anyway. But things are not always what they seem. In fact, words are highly consequential to our lived experience. Think about how many people live by God's word. Think about the notion that your word is your honor. Think about how you were taught as a child by those who loved you to watch what you say and think before you speak. Think about how a passage in a book can move you to tears, how an argument can provoke your anger, and how an inspired speech can get you out of the couch, or off the couch, hopefully not out of the couch, and into the streets in protest. Note how certain words are forbidden in certain situations in the same way that certain behaviors are forbidden. We have no reason to forbid something that's powerless to affect us. Words are powerful, they matter in the external world, and they matter within our internal landscape too, which I think just makes sense. I mean, yes, it is sensical that we are not allowed to say certain words in certain situations, even though, in some countries it is totally fine to swear on TV, for example, but in other countries it is totally just unacceptable to do so, which is first of all really interesting, and second of all, like, does it change something? Does it change the culture? Which, by the way, is also something that I thought about. Like, does the language that you're speaking change the culture and all the people? Meaning also kind of, when I'm just moving to an English-speaking country, am I gonna be a different person? Am I gonna be happier or more depressed and whatnot because I'm not talking my mother tongue quite? It's actually, I don't know. I would totally say that language and speaking and words are extremely powerful. This is also one of the reasons why I always point out, like, we can all say something that is gonna change somebody's life to the better, of course. But often we're not doing that, unfortunately. Indeed, a considerable body of empirical evidence has accumulated over the past decades to support the efficacy of distanced self-talk for improving emotion management, decision-making, and coping with stress. For example, looking at how people may manage anger and aggression, Dominic Mishkovsky of the Ohio State University and colleagues, or is it colleges? No, it's colleagues, isn't it? From 2012 found that reflecting over past provocations from a self-distanced or fly-on-a-wall perspective, quote-unquote, by the way, reduces aggressive thoughts and angry feelings. Moreover, quote-unquote, provoked participants who self-distanced had fewer aggressive thoughts and angry feelings and displayed less aggressive behavior than participants who self-immersed or were in control group. These findings demonstrate that people can self-distance in the heat of the moment and that doing so reduces aggressive thoughts and angry feelings, aggressive behavior as well. Looking at decision-making, psychologists Ethan Cross and Igor Grossman, from 2012 of the University of Michigan, examined, quote-unquote, whether psychological distance enhances wise reasoning, attitudes, and behavior. In two experiments, they showed that priming participants to reason about personally meaningful issues, i.e. career prospects for the unemployed during an economic recession, anticipated societal changes associated with one's chosen candidate losing the presidential election. From a distance perspective, enhances wise reasoning. From a distance perspective, quote-unquote, enhances wise reasoning, dialectism, intellectual humility, attitudes, cooperation-related attitude, assimilation, and behavior willingness to join a bipartisan group. A series of studies by Cross and colleagues from 2014 examined whether the technique would help participants regulate their stress surrounding socially demanding tasks such as making good first impressions and public speaking. Results showed that compared with the first-person group, the non-first-person group performed better according to objective raters. They also displayed less distress and engaged in less maladaptive post-event processing. In addition, which by the way is something that really pisses me off, like, what could I have done better? And I could have done this, I could have done that. Yeah, you could have, but in the end, it's like really unnecessary to think in that way because you can't change it anyway, and so why the fuck do you even care? But let's tell that our brain, and our brain is gonna be saying like, well, shut the fuck up. I'm thinking whatever the fuck that I'm willing to think. Anyway. Where have I stopped? In addition, self-distancing helped participants appraise future stressors in more challenging and less threatening terms. These findings, and the author conclude, demonstrate that small shifts in the language people use to refer to the self during introspection consequentially influence their ability to regulate their thoughts, feelings, and behavior under social stress. And I do think that something that's actually then very negative is to be like, wow, you dumb asshole, you should have done this, you should have done that, when you're talking about yourself. But yeah, I've just once again lost my fucking period thing. Anna Dorfman of the University of Waterloo and colleagues from 2019 actually examined changes in emotionality following adverse experiences in daily life. They asked participants to reflect in writing or adverse experiences over a 4-week period, randomly assigned them to either a self-immersed or self-distanced perspective. Results showed increased in positive emotionality among self-distanced participants compared to self-immersed participants. Ariana Orwell of the University of Michigan and colleagues from 2020 had participants reflect on a series of future and past-oriented negative personal experiences of varied intensity using distanced and immersed self-talk. They found that a subtle shift in language, so silently referring to oneself using one's own name and non-first-person singular pronouns, promotes emotion regulation compared to first-person or immersed self-talk. Distant self-talk reduced participants' emotional reactivity to negative experiences of varying levels of intensity. The findings held for future and past events across types of events and regardless of participants' differing levels of emotion. This ability to use linguistic shifts to exert conscious control over thoughts and actions appears to emerge as early as age 5. People appear able to perform such shifts relatively seamlessly and effortlessly, and the benefits appear to extend over time. So how does self-distancing work? Self-distancing, anyway. Lindsay's Dreamer and colleagues at the University of Buffalo from 2017 examined the effects of self-distancing on participants' cardiovascular response. They found that participants who self-distance by using non-first person versus first-person pronouns and their own name while preparing for a speech showed cardiovascular responses consistent with greater challenge while delivering the speech. So apparently it is about a speech. Self-distancing did not, however, influence cardiovascular responses reflecting task engagement during the speech. These findings suggest self-distancing can lead to a positively balanced experience during active performance stresses rather than simply muted responses based on decreasing the stress's self-relevance. In other words, self-distancing works by empowering you in a phase of the problem, not by distancing you from it. Research has also shown that the technique works by reducing rumination, broadening perspective, and changing the way people perceive and evaluate their experience. Specifically, research has shown that self-distancing reduces people's focus on the emotionally arousing features of their negative experience while reorienting them towards seeking insight and also closure. Cross and Özlem Ayduk of the University of California, Berkeley, two leaders in this area summarized the research by stating, collectively, these findings demonstrate how subtle shifts in language people use to refer to themselves during introspection can influence their capacity to regulate how they think, feel, and behave under stress. The next time you're trying to think your way through a socially or emotionally stressful situation, talk to yourself about it in the third person, and you can see firsthand whether this technique works for you. It may or may not work for you. But yeah, something that I'm a little bit concerned about, and this is going to be the last note here in this video. If you constantly refer to yourself as a third person, isn't this going to kind of make you a bit schizophrenic or something? Like, I don't know. Like, it kind of sounds strange. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But I'm going to end the episode there. So I wish you the best. I'm going to see you soon. So bye-bye.